Hi, I'm Movie Man. I'm an octopus who reviews movies, and today's review is going to be on. So, if you haven't heard of this movie, you're probably looking at the poster and the stuff for it, you're thinking to yourself, wait, hang on. Russell Crowe in another exorcism movie, literally just 1 year after he did the Pope's Exorcist. Oh, that must be interesting. Well, here's the thing. Before I start getting into my thoughts on this movie, I feel like I should bring up the whole thing with this movie. So, here's the thing. Russell Crowe actually made this movie before he made The Pope's Exorcist. See, apparently, they started filming this movie back in late 2019. And so then, I think in 2020, they had to shut the production down due to COVID, and so because of it, they kind of just left it dormant for a few years. And so then, a small amount of years later, Russell Crowe, he does the movie The Pope's Exorcist, and of course it released in April of last year. It actually did well enough, and I'm pretty sure there's actually a sequel that they're planning to make for it. And so when The Pope's Exorcist released and they saw that it had done fairly well, they decided to kind of capitalize off the success of the film, and so they went back, they finished this movie, and now that they are finished with the film, they got the distribution rights first to go releasing, and yeah, they released the film there in cinemas. I think originally this film was actually going to be called The Georgetown Project, but they changed the title to The Exorcism. But yeah, anyway, so I'd heard about this film, I'd seen the trailer, I was thinking, oh, Russell Crowe in another exorcism movie. But I'm not gonna lie, it did actually look interesting enough from the trailer. Also, something I should mention, actually decided to re-watch The Pope's Exorcist, and I'm not gonna lie, on second viewing, I actually liked it a good bit better than I did on first viewing. So yeah, that old review of mine from over a year ago, that's honestly a pretty outdated review now. Cause while I still wouldn't quite call it a good movie, I feel like the first time I watched it, I think I just kind of tried to take it a bit too seriously. If you don't take the film that seriously, you kind of just see it for what it is, a real kind of a campy sort of film. I said again, I wouldn't quite call it a good movie, but I'm not gonna lie, it actually is pretty entertaining. There are some scenes in that film that actually do make me laugh, just because of how funny they are. So yeah, I gave it like a 3 out of 10 in my original review, but honestly, I think I would actually bump it up to a 5 out of 10, and an enjoyable 5 out of 10 at that. And I guess this also means my top 10 worst movies of 2023 list is kind of outdated now, as I no longer think The Pope's Exorcist belongs on that list. So yeah, it's pretty much gone from that list now. Yeah, now I know that this film, The Exorcism, is a different entity to The Pope's Exorcist, but I know I just felt like I should bring this up because getting into my thoughts on this movie, The Exorcism, I actually liked The Pope's Exorcist better. In fact, now honestly, looking back for my original thoughts on The Pope's Exorcist, yeah, compared to this film, The Exorcism, I think I was definitely quite harsh on The Pope's Exorcist the first time. Because honestly, I would watch The Pope's Exorcist way more times than I'd watch this again. Yeah, this movie, The Exorcism, this was not a very good film. Let me just start off by saying that. So far this year has had a fair share of bad horror movies like Night Swim, Imaginary, Baghead. There's also like 2 others I still haven't reviewed yet, but yep, you can now pretty much add this film, The Exorcism, to that list. Yeah, let's get into my thoughts on this movie. So start things off, I will say this. The cinematography is actually quite good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this movie is actually competently shot. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there actually are some genuinely good shots in this film. There are some nice, like, wide shots. And when we're on this set and we kind of see, like, the whole kind of, like, production that they've built for the movie that they're making, yeah. Like you see, like, shots of it. I'm not gonna lie, it is a well shot movie. It can be, quite pleasing to look at. Yeah, so, overall, I would say that the cinematography in this movie is overall pretty good. However, I have to be honest, from every other category else, the movie pretty much falls flat. Like, in terms of the editing, for example, now, as I mentioned, like, they've made this back in like 2019, and then when COVID happens, they kind of just left it for a few years, and then last year they went back and finished the movie. So yeah, like, it's not that surprising that the editing may not particularly be the best, but like the movie can just be really weird with the editing at times, because at points it just feels like there's these like huge gaps in the story. Like, there'll be points like where, like, we'll have these characters in a location in one scene, then the movie will, they'll cut, and then next thing they'll just be in this whole like other location than where they previously were, and the movie never shows us like them getting to that location. And yeah, because of it, it just feels really confusing, and there's just these gaps in the story. Like, it feels like there's just missing scenes in here that they just didn't film. Like, either it's because they didn't have the time or the budget to film these scenes, or else they kind of just forgot about it or ignored them, but yeah, because of it, it just feels really confusing, and yeah, like, it'll just be a kind of really weird when you'll just see all these characters in different locations, it's really like not great. Like, I mean, I can kind of understand like why, but nonetheless, it just makes the viewing experience feel kind of weird at points. So yeah, the editing in this movie is not great. Now in terms of the pace in this film, now this isn't like a very long movie. Like, this film is like only like about 95 minutes, I think, and yeah, to be fair, I honestly don't think this really feels like a very long movie. Like I mean, like, to be fair, like it is, with it only being like a 90-minute runtime. I don't feel like you're there for that long, but with that being said, though, I feel like the movie still could have done a better job with its pacing. Like, it's already weird enough that you'll have scenes where characters will just randomly be in a different location than where they were in the previous scene without you showing us how they got there. But there's just these points where the movie can honestly feel kind of slow, and like, I mean, yeah, it can honestly kind of feel like a bit like boring at points and a little repetitive. Yeah, like, I mean, it's not like horrible pacing, but yeah, the movie definitely could have done a better job with it. Yeah, so the pace in this film is not great. Now, like, the sound and music in the movie, like, I don't really have like that much to talk about here, but like like the sound effects are kind of just the generic old thing used here in a movie like this. Nothing particularly amazing. Um, and like, yeah, the score in the film is just really forgettable, to be honest. There's like not really much to say about it other than that. But like, yeah, so the sound music in the movie is not great. Now in terms of the characters and the performances from the cast, starting things off, we have the main character in the film, Anthony Miller, who is of course a troubled actor who gets a job on this exorcism movie. And like, I mean, he's not like a great protagonist. Like, he's not horrible. I mean, we do get a bit of depth with his character because, like, we know that like, basically he suffers from some trauma from his childhood. And like, basically he was on drugs, and like, I think his wife dies, and yeah, he basically had to go to rehab, and so now he's kind of like, he's been offered the role in this movie after the original actor was mysteriously killed. Kind of sees it as a way to kind of revive his career, and like, I mean, to be fair, at least they kind of do kind of try to, add a bit of depth to his character, but to be honest, I don't think the movie really does enough to like really make you care about him as a character, like when he gets possessed. like in terms of Russell Crowe's performance, like he does a solid enough job for what like he's given, but like yeah, I feel like the movie really could have done more of a job, more better to, you know, make you care about his character. His daughter as well. Like the movie, cause like it's established that like she has kind of a rocky relationship like with her father. And like again, she's not horrible, but the movie kind of could have done more to really develop their relationship and have you care a bit more. I'll admit, Ryan Simpkins, who plays his daughter, again, she does an okay job here for what she's given, but like, again, I feel like the movie kind of should have done a bit more to really make you care about her character and understand her motivations. Like, yeah, so in terms of other characters, like, I mean, like, we have a few, like, notable supporting actors in this, like, we have Chloe Bailey in this as this actress in the movie who's playing the possessed girl, and, like, I mean, she does fine enough here, but again, the movie could have done more to make her character more interesting. We have David Hyde Pierce in this as this priest who is basically a consultant on the film. Like, he does well enough in his performance, and like it is nice seeing him again because this is actually his first film role in 14 years, but like again, I think the movie just could have done more to make you care about his character. And we have Adam Goldberg in this as like the director of this movie that they're making. I won't get too much into it, but basically his character is actually quite unlikable with some of the things that he does without getting into it. But I wish his character had more of a satisfying payoff, to be honest, because I didn't like what they did with it in the end. And yeah, like, well, the acting in here is alright, like, everyone's kind of does, like, a solid enough job, but the movie really could have done more to actually, like, make you care about the characters, like, not to mention, it even wastes a few actors, like, in particular, we also have Sam Worthington in this movie, and like, without getting much into it, like, his character, he's in this, like, for a small bit, but, like, he is really wasted in this. Like, you could have had another actor play that role, and any other, like, lesser known actor would have been, like, just fine in the role. Yeah, he is really wasted in this. So yeah, I think overall, while the acting in the movie is fine enough, like, everyone kind of does well enough for honestly what little of a script they're given, but yeah, I feel like a lot of the characters in this were quite one note, and the film could have done a better job at, like, you know, making more use out of some of them and making you care about them better. So overall, the acting's fine, but the characters were quite underutilized. Now, in terms of the plot of this movie, now, I'll admit, this movie does have, like, an interesting concept, yeah, it kind of feels a bit meta with how, like it's an exorcism movie, but they're making an exorcism movie, and on the set of the film, the main actor gets possessed. That is actually a neat concept, I'll admit. Like, you could do something interesting with it. But I have to say, the execution of it was honestly quite poor. Like, I'm not gonna lie, okay, I'll admit, the first, like, half an hour of the movie, I think, is actually alright. It does establish some things, and, it kind of seems like it's gonna go in an interesting direction. But then at some point, it just starts to go downhill, and then it kind of honestly just starts to become, like, a really generic, like, exorcism movie, and yeah, it's just not great. They just didn't use the whole film within a film setting to its full potential. Like, what they did with it in the end, it just wasn't great, and it was quite disappointing how they did it. Like, honestly, I think they just could have executed it a whole lot better. So overall, like, while the plot, it has an interesting concept, but pretty poor execution, I do have to say. In terms of the narrative structure, like the main plot revolves around Russell Crowe's character Anthony, with how he joins this film, and on the set of the film he gets possessed, and some things start happening. It's been that one main plot, but it's not exactly a great plot, or one where you're like fully invested or really caring too much. Like, the movie kind of has like a little kind of B plots in here. Like, we go a bit into Anthony's past, and like, they kind of try to do some things with his daughter, but ultimately I feel like you just don't really care enough to get invested in it. Though he doesn't do a good job at making you fully care about it, and has an interesting concept. It pretty much just blows in and just becomes a really generic exorcism movie. So yeah, honestly, there's not really much else to say about the narrative structure. It's just not great. So overall, The Exorcism was a real disappointment. There were some things to like in here, like there was nice cinematography, the acting was fine, and it had a good concept, but the way it executed it was very poor. It would literally just became a very generic horror film, and yeah, like I said, we didn't do a good enough job to make you care about the characters, and certain cast members were very underutilized, and yeah, honestly, again, with the weird editing where characters will just randomly be in a different location from where they were in previous scenes, yeah, it just really didn't feel like a very complete story, and like, honestly, it was just so disappointing the way that they did it. Yeah, overall, I have to say, though there were some things to like, overall, this was quite a bad movie, and honestly, like, I actually feel a bit bad for being so mean to the Pope's Exorcist when I first watched it, because while the Pope's Exorcist may not particularly be a good film, I'd still watch it again over this. At least the Pope's Exorcist was entertaining, while this was just kind of a bore. So yeah, overall, The Exorcism, it's quite a bad movie and definitely one of the most disappointing films of the year so far. So with that, I'm going to give The Exorcism a 3 out of 10. So with that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.